Good afternoon, members. Welcome to the second edition of Real Talk, the official podcast of GRRA.
Hi, Aiden, and happy to be here today. My name is Sophia Chris. I'm the 2023 president of the Greensboro Regional Realtors Association. Today, we're blessed to have Robbie Perkins with us. Robbie Perkins has been in the commercial brokerage business since graduating with a BA and MBA from Duke University in 1979. He currently serves as market president for NAI Piedmont Triad. He has consistently been among the leaders in brokerage volume within the NAI Earl Furman organization. Mr. Perkins has also been a part of the Greensboro Community Leadership since 1993, serving 16 years on the Greensboro City Council and as mayor of Greensboro from 2011 to 2013. Transportation planning, regional cooperation, and major community investments such as the Greensboro Aquatic Center and the Stephen Tanger Center for Performing Arts were part of his focus as an elected official. Welcome, Mr. Perkins. So first question for you is, what one big idea do you think was the catalyst for the progress of downtown redevelopment?
I think the biggest one was the Center City Park, because Center City Park gave Roy Carroll the confidence to do Center Point across the street. And that kind of got things going. The baseball stadium, of course, was important. That was in between Center City Park and Carroll's deal. That all led to the Tanger Center. And that's just continuing to bubble.
What more can be done to grow downtown Greensboro and High Point to become a more hip place to live, work, and play, and attract young people, professionals moving to the area, as well as graduates?
There's no one-size-fit-all answer in terms of downtown redevelopment. Number one, I think you have to have a plan. And frankly, at this point, I think High Point is ahead of Greensboro in terms of having a plan and being able to execute that plan. Greensboro needs to get a plan. And I've told Zach Matheny that and Nancy Vaughn that. But I do think that whatever was done prior to the pandemic needs to be reevaluated, because we don't have the large office population downtown that we used to have. We need more residential units in the downtown. We need, frankly, more hotels in the downtown. And I think you're going to see some of that coming with Carroll Companies building 300 apartment units and an AC Marriott on Friendly Avenue. So it really is coming, but we've got a ways to go.
Sounds exciting, though. So one more question. What should the region expect to see once the Toyota plant, Boom Supersonic, Wolfspeed, the Publix warehouse, and the Kidney Pro Center all start in operation?
Well, we've got to find a place for the folks to live, because we've got all of this job growth, but we still have a pretty tight housing market in the Triad. And so we're going to need more product, because we can't fill all of those jobs with just local people. There are some layoffs. In fact, today Klossner announced that they were laying off 1,000 people in the furniture industry. Most of those are in Randolph County around Asheboro. But Toyota will pick up a lot of that. And so, but when you get Boom, when you get Toyota, when you get Wolfspeed, when you get Pro Kidney, even VinFast is going to take people out of the Triad and go in that direction. We've got to have a place for them to live. And right now, the apartments are full, single families full. We're historically short turnaround in terms of sales activity. If we don't start building some homes and some apartments and some townhouses, we're going to have a problem attracting the kind of employees that these businesses need.
I agree, and you already answered my last question about what are the major obstacles. Pretty much answered that, so I'm going to turn it over to Mike Barr.
And he led into my question. Thanks, Sophia. The Greensboro Realtors Association was the catalyst to put a 20-county Carolina Core Housing Needs Assessment study to be done by Bowen National Research, which will identify the housing needs over the next 6 years. The study will be released at the Carolina Core Real Estate Summit next May. We have 11 associations who have joined forces with the state association to get the study done. How is, and you already, I think you hit it, how's the current housing situation playing into the region's ability to land future economic development?
You know, I think if we don't have quality housing in our region, we're not going to continue the momentum that we have now. So this is a problem that we have to solve. This isn't a maybe we solve it, we have to solve it. And the way we solve it is, I think we work together as multiple jurisdictions, and that's why I'm so excited about the regional study that the Realtors Association has initiated. There are no such things as boundary lines in the minds of these companies. They locate in a region and they get their workforce from a region. And yet, you know, Greensboro, High Point, Winston-Salem, Burlington, we all have our boundary lines. But the fact is the companies that are coming in to serve the region just want highly trained employees to work in their companies. Our old jurisdictional turf wars need to go away, and we need to look at sharing utility services because sewer flows better if it flows downhill to a central collection area and then is pumped back to the plant. If that line is going through multiple jurisdictions, that used to be a problem. But now it ought to create an opportunity for these jurisdictions to work together to create housing product. I also think we've got to look at densification. We can't continue to have the 1950 and 60s subdivisions with the large lots and the single family homes on public utilities. We're going to have to densify and we're going to have to, from an affordability standpoint, you've got to have more dense housing in order to make it more affordable.
So given the latest situation where a municipality turned down a big housing development over in Kernersville because, as the alderman stated, he didn't feel that the development was good for Kernersville. It was the Colorado developer coming in. What else are we going to have to do as a community to enlighten our elected officials to approve some of these developments?
Well, the Kernersville situation, hopefully they'll get another shot at that because I think the developer is pretty sophisticated and they'll come back and talk to the town and try to work out something that's a compromise. But, in that particular situation, all of the infrastructure is in place to serve a denser community. And Kernersville is right in the center of this region, and you've got major highways running every direction from Kernersville to where people are going to work. So I think that one needs to be given a chance. Just because it's dense doesn't mean it can't really be nice. And what people are looking for today is different than what maybe the people that are making the decisions at our local level have known in the past. Because as I see it, the young professionals, they want to spend more time out of their houses enjoying themselves than they do cleaning up the yards and cutting grass and trimming trees, that type of thing. So the density gives a developer the opportunity to develop the parkland and the nice amenities that are commonly owned, commonly paid for, that could not be afforded in a traditional subdivision. So I think it's important that we educate our elected officials and spend a lot of time having the conversation about what's important to our buyers. And that can be done on a local level. The realtors in Kernersville are probably the best folks to talk to the folks on the Board of Aldermen in the town of Kernersville. Same thing in Summerfield and the whole situation with Summerfield Farms. That needs to be resolved because if we don't have that quality housing in Guilford County, we're not going to be able to continue to support the high-priced jobs that are coming to the airport. And all of that's on the north end of the airport, which is in close proximity to Summerfield and to Oak Ridge. So those jurisdictions are going to have to make different provisions than they did in the past.
Yeah, either that or the executives will drive to a different county and live there.
They'll go to a different county, or we won't get the jobs. I mean, because they know what housing availability is in the Triad before they even come here. They know what the price points are. They know how long the houses stay on the market. And, some of the companies that have moved here that I've worked with have even called me and said, Robbie, how can you help our people get houses? They've been beaten out in multiple offer situations, or frankly, there's just nothing available. When are you guys going to start building some houses so that our people can have the same type of homes they had in the place that they're moving from?
The future looks bright. In order to continue this, what do we need to do like right now to keep progress moving forward?
I think our infrastructure is in really good shape. Our water supply, great shape. Our sewer, adequate for the next, 25 or 30 years. We've got one of the best power providers in the country in Duke Energy. Our highway systems are certainly excellent, especially the size region that we're talking about. To think that Greensboro just opened a 48-mile urban loop around the city in January, we're really ahead of things in terms of transportation. We've got a very good airport. The connectivity between the cities is good. So I think the biggest thing is we need to really think about how we want this place to look in the future. There will be more people moving in here. So you want to pay real attention to your public infrastructure, your parks and your recreation centers and your public spaces, and make sure that attention to detail is followed. I also think that one of the real interesting things that make our area interesting is these not only the downtowns in our major cities, but the central business districts in our smaller towns. We need to pay a lot of attention to the architecture and the way things look because attractive things do matter. One of the things that bothers me about our downtown in Greensboro is we've allowed property owners to just let certain parcels languish for 30 or 40 years. It's time to take the carrot away and give the boot to some of these property owners and get them to fix their properties up and put them back in use, because it's almost like a cancer. When you've got one or two buildings on a downtown city block that have been left vacant for years and years, it erodes the value of the buildings that have been upgraded. And we're seeing that in some of our center cities. And we've got to really activate these old buildings and put them back in use and create the type of vitality that our cities deserve.
With all this growth and such, has this had any of an impact on the commercial market? And if so, what impact has that been?
Our commercial business is booming. We've got 17 agents in our company, and I think everybody's busy. We're looking at a good 10-year run here in Greensboro in the commercial business. Some sectors are stronger than others. The industrial sector has been just off the charts. It's cooled down from white hot to just hot, but it's still very healthy. We're still seeing strong retail in certain areas. The retail is more of an experiential retail. We got Topgolf under construction in Greensboro, and you're going to see a lot of spin-offs coming out of that. Office is a little slower, but we're going to have to look at reuse opportunities within the office sector. The best buildings in areas that are neat and cool and interesting and have retail and restaurants close by, they're going to continue to lease. The ones that, are 40, 50-year-old large floor plate buildings that don't have anything close by, that's going to be more problematic. So I think some of them will actually come down, and some will be converted to other uses.
Have you seen a lot of movement on the east side?
A huge amount of movement on the east side. I think that one of the critical things that has happened on the east side was Publix, and Publix was announced the same month as we lost the Toyota Mazda deal in 2018 or so. But they built it over 2 million square feet in their distribution center, offices, and refrigerated space off of US 70 east of Greensboro. And Publix now employs 1,200 folks, and the way their company's set up, it's an ESOP, so it's an employee stock option ownership company where if you work there, you have the ability to own a piece of the company over time, and that creates wealth in our community. So I think that's been really good. I also think that more is coming on the east side of Greensboro as the Raleigh effect takes place along Interstate 40. You're seeing more and more businesses, because the cost of doing business in the Raleigh-Durham area, move west along I-40, and certainly now they're coming into eastern Guilford County, and I think you'll see eastern Greensboro being a part of that. But I also think another huge factor in Greensboro and the emergence of eastern Greensboro is North Carolina A&T State University. The strides that have been made at North Carolina A&T under the leadership of Chancellor Harold Martin are incredible. I took a tour last week of the new engineering school, and what they're doing inside that building in terms of simulation for cars. I mean, you can sit in a car that's not moving and the world moves past you, and you can drive that car and they can test electronically your reflexes and what you're doing in certain situations. Amazing stuff going on at North Carolina A&T. And I think you'll see more growth in that university because of their focus on technology and engineering, and I think some of that growth is going to spur corporations from outside of Greensboro wanting to locate here in order to be close to the graduating students so they can hire them. I think you're going to see some of that happening over the next few years.
Some satellites.
Yes.
Yeah, that's great.
Robbie, we have a lot of residential members interested in commercial. We have a large group of what we call resimercial agents who dabble in both markets. Is this a good time to get into commercial brokerage in the Triad?
It's just a different business. You know, my daughter is a residential agent in Charleston, South Carolina, and Caroline has never done anything but sell houses, and I've never done anything but commercial real estate. But she's been very successful because she's focused in that market and really lives and breathes and sleeps that market. And the same is true with me in the commercial realm. I live the market that we're in. And so I think you've really got to make a choice as to what you're committed to. You can't really be good at everything. And I think you've got to really eat, you eat it, you sleep it, you breathe it, and you tend to do a lot better at it. And that's what I would encourage people to do. Find something that they enjoy and really study it and spend time being the best that you can be, and put yourself out there and network, and you'll do great.
That makes a lot of sense. So our final question, how can realtors help with the economic momentum we are about to experience?
Well, I think realtors have a big voice in the regulatory environment. And one of the things that I would encourage our folks to do is everybody give a little bit to RPAC, every year. And I think that's a good thing, because when you look at the 57 or so thousand members that we have statewide, I think we're either the first or the second largest influencer at the General Assembly in terms of our lobbying power. What that does is that's going to keep housing affordable in our state. Because if we weren't there to be a watchdog over the legislative process, legislative bodies tend to get carried away and costs tend to rise. And I think we can all look at what's happened in California and say, North Carolina's got the same sort of potential that California had 20 years ago? Can we learn from their mistakes and not replicate them? And I think the realtors, because of our ability to draw data from all over the country, can use that data and formulate strong arguments to keep that from happening in North Carolina.
So it's our hope that the housing study is going to bring some of that to light as well, and we'll be able to use that as a force to make some changes. So we want to thank you for being here today. It's been a pleasure. I've been sitting here shaking my head at some of your answers. Once again, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you, Sophia. It's a pleasure being here. And, I'll just tell my fellow realtors that I'm proud to be a realtor. I'm in the commercial space, but it's something that we all need to carry with us every day, the level of professionalism and ethics and the standards that our association really provides for us. We need to embrace that and show the community that we are here to not only do our jobs, but to be a significant change agent for the better in our cities and towns.
Again, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, members, again, real quick, for listening to our second episode of Real Talk, hosted by GRRA CEO Mike Barr, current President Sophia Crisp, and Director of Communications and Marketing Aiden Jensen. We'll see you next time.